Hey there, guys. How y'all doing? I'm just tuning in here for another quick update on the status of Unifi, how we're doing, things we're working on. And today I've got a couple of key things that I think we want to talk about here. Specifically, I'm going to be diving into staking on Harmony. This is something that we have kind of been working through a bit in relation to the up ecosystem and how it's going to impact it there. We have some new updates or some kind of more directional information to talk about in terms of marketing. I just feel like it's something that we could better, put out there just so we're all on the same page, know where we're kind of working here through the rest of the year and going into next year. And then lastly, I do want to talk a little bit about UNFI and some of the things that are going on with UNFI specifically and how that's going to work in the future. I can't go too far into details on those aspects, but that is what I wanted to give you guys all an update on. So just kind of hopping right in here, I think I'll go ahead and start on the Harmony staking update. So for those of you that have been, kind of following us along here, we've been talking a lot about the UP token and basically how it can kind of adopt these new and interesting strategies to improve the redeem value over time. The first kind of implementation that we've been using today on all of the blockchains that we're on is basically LP staking. So that's taking the UP token, putting it into an LP along with the backing so that people can basically participate inside of the token itself to earn additional yield there. And then that yield funnels back into the UP token's redeem value itself. This new direction on Harmony is basically going to leverage some of that BNB liquidity to stake it and take those staked rewards and deposit them back into redeem value. So this is not something that we can necessarily do on every blockchain that we're on, but because Harmony does allow for staking within smart contracts to be called, that is something that we can offer there. So So this is a new direction to kind of test things out. It's a new ground there, and I think it's going to show, or it should yield, no pun intended, much better results in terms of the redeem value change over time. And we're intending to push that live here any day. It could be today, tomorrow, during this week sometime. So we are trying to get that out this week so we can go ahead and kind of start seeing the impact there and the results. So that's super exciting, and I think it's going to be kind of like that first step in rolling out up V2 onto more blockchains with more interesting or creative concepts on how they can earn yield. So moving on to marketing. This is I don't necessarily have a specific update here, but it is something that I feel that we should all just kind of talk about, just kind of put out there in the open. So we've been talking, a lot about the direction of the company and essentially what's going on. So we all know the history here. We're coming in from a community perspective. It came into a DAO, went ahead and built on that DAO to start deploying things like decentralized exchanges, cross-chain bridges, voting proposals, these sort of things. But ultimately, the kind of new kind of key direction that we're focused in right now is going to be this stable chain like L1. So that's going to be a major focus of the company here going into pretty much kicking off now and going into all of 2023 and beyond. So with that being said, there's going to be some changes in terms of how we market it and how we basically work, or I should present ourselves publicly. Being an L1, we're not going to be selling our native token, where we're not going to have a native token to necessarily sell. And so what that means is our marketing is going to reposition itself to be more in tune with like a brand marketing kind of thing. That's kind of going to be the main focus here in terms of what we market, is who we are, what we've been doing, why we're working in this direction, and why it's so important to us as a company, and why we think it's so important to the future of the space. And from a public perspective, that's going to look very different. We do need to take a look at how we market to retail, how we market to businesses, and how we market to more like developers and things like that. And so you're very likely to see a very different strategy as we come into the rest of this year, but especially once we kick off 2023. And it's to reflect that. It's no secret that basically once we deploy an L1 that's reliant on the gas-based transactions of the blockchain itself to subsist, what that means is we're going to have to market more directly to businesses and try to generate more transactions. And so that's going to be where a lot of our sales like marketing is going to be going. So that's the big change that I do want to just kind of put out there. I would expect to see some shifting around that, continue to see updates on UP token itself as we do roll that out, but it's going to have to mesh into this new marketing direction that we're pushing in. So last update here is Unifi. There have been a lot of questions out there in public, and just for those of you that aren't aware, I can see comments and stuff. If you guys have questions, you can put them here. And if I catch them, I'll try to answer them at the end. But just jumping into Unifi specifically, what I want to talk about is where that's going to go at the end of this year and where we expect that to go into 2023 and beyond. So we're deploying this L1. It's our focus to decentralize that L1 as much as we possibly can. And so decentralizing an L1 that doesn't rely on staking, or likely to be POA, means that we're going to have to assign individual addresses to things like validated data slots and things like that. So from our perspective, the best thing that we can do is start to determine how we can decentralize that as best we can. And Unifi is a very decentralized token. For those of you that go on out there and do some research and look into it, when you take a look at the token distribution of Unifi, it's actually kind of unique in the market. It's pretty well distributed. It has a very large group of people that all have a very shared and collected interest in the token. And so from our perspective, that kind of aligns perfectly with what we want to imbue into this new L1. So when I talk about what's going on with Unifi, I do anticipate it to become a lot more independent. And what that would mean is to see a lot more DAO functionality coming very, very quickly to it. That would be things like not just referendums, but referendums that can actually set and determine smart contract parameters around the token. Seeing things like what should the staking rewards be? I could see that becoming more of a public decision. And I could see that being more of a public vote that once it's gone through can be approved and basically initiated by the public as well. The key directive that I think that I want to put out there is Unifi should be constantly efforting to decentralize itself. And so, trying to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a position where it's focusing the token in on a smaller and smaller group is not necessarily what's best for the token. And so I think that when it comes down to a DAO that does operate around Unifi, its key directive does need to be decentralization. And that puts us perfectly in line with how we can better operate this L1 into the future. It puts Unifi as a DAO a lot more in control of the smart contracts that it can operate. And that's kind of how I see it moving into 2023. So with that being said, guys, I'm kind of going to wrap up here. A lot of really interesting news out there. I've been keeping an eye on. We've been talking here about block space internally. I think maybe I've done it in 2 or 3 videos now. But essentially, it's really my perspective that the industry is ready for a change. They're ready to take a look at how does a blockchain form, how does it define itself as a business, and basically how does it intend to operate long term. And I don't think there are a lot of concepts out there for how to do that beyond the one that we've been talking about here. And I've been watching a lot of the conversations, and I think it's great to see change coming, and it's great to see that be a new and continued direction in the industry. So I'm looking forward to giving you guys all more updates on this in the future. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and everyone have a great rest of your week. Bye.